So for me, when I look at maritime industry, I see dollars flying on the street. I see euro. I can see pound sterling, but people cannot see to pick it.
That was the Director General of Nimasa, Dr. Bashir Jamo, talking about the tremendous wealth embedded in harnessing our maritime resources. Hello and welcome. This is Nimasa This Week, the voice of maritime. Brought to you by the Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency, a statutory body responsible for regulating and promoting all things maritime in the Nigerian economic space. My name is Ubong Isien. I will be your guide on this voyage.
My name is Margaret Orakusi, Chairman, Ship Owners Forum of Nigeria, a fisherwoman. I play big in the maritime sector by the encouragement of Nimasa. And I will tell you, if you really want to learn much about the maritime sector, the opportunities therein for you to come in and either educate yourself or invest in, try watching Nimasa This Week. This is the voice of maritime. Stay tuned.
Welcome back. It's still Nimasa This Week, the voice of maritime. The marine environment comes first. It is the custodian of everything maritime. Without the marine environment, you cannot talk about fishing, you cannot talk about safety, you cannot talk about ecotourism, and all of the other valuable concerns in our waters. The marine environment is the very ecosystem that supports marine life. Nimasa bears the paramount responsibility for ensuring the protection and sustenance of our oceans, seas, shorelines, estuaries, and other major navigable water bodies. Little wonder the Director General of Nimasa, Dr. Bashir Jamo, devoted a chunk of his working week to the all too important issue of marine litter by visiting the various hotspots here in Lagos, from Ajegule to the Lekki seasides. So, to find out more about this and other matters, we take you into the DJ's diary.
Marine litter, also known as marine debris, is a human-created waste that has deliberately or accidentally been released in a sea or ocean. Marine litter presents a huge problem in our oceans, especially with the increasing use of plastics, as plastics do not biodegrade quickly as would natural or organic materials. The UN in 2017 estimated that by 2050, there will be more plastic than fish in the oceans if substantial measures are not taken. Marine litter poses a serious threat to fish, seabirds, marine reptiles, marine mammals, as well as to boats and coasts. Dumping, container spillages, litter washed into storm drains and waterways, and wind-blown landfill waste all contribute to this problem. Having newly engaged and employed marine litter marshals in an effort to keep tabs on marine litter and debris, the Director General of Nimasa, Dr. Bashir Jamo, took an assessment tour of some of our waterways and channels that has heavy concentration of litters to get a first-hand assessment of the situation.
You know, we have just employed our marine litters marshals, and year after year we are spending billions in trying to maintain our waters. These marine litters, which can be poisonous to our fish, it ends up on our tables and we eat it, and it can become an issue and problem to us. So what we want to see is to try and monitor the areas we have prevalence of these marine litters and water hyacinth to see how we can manage it in terms of eradication of these litters. So we are here now for on-the-spot assessment to understand all these things. And at the end of our tour, we will be able to tell Nigerians that this is what is happening and this is the implications. We try to change the culture. We try to change the psyche of Nigerians and their own well-being on how to, stop littering our sea with all these litters.
The visit took the DG and his team from the jetty of Apapa to the island, Lekki, Liverpool, Tin Can, Mile 2, and back to Apapa, where he inspected the severity of the marine litters and hotspots for marine litters. He also assessed how to prevent litters from moving from the hinterland to the seas and oceans and how to clear them. Dr. Jamo identified sources of these marine litters.
We have sea-based sources. The sea-based sources mostly are garbage coming from the ships. Some, companies that are engaged in carrying this garbage will also come and dump it, especially at night. So at the end of the day, looking at all these things, we will have to take a closer look at these sources, engage our own stakeholders. These stakeholders include the local governments, the neutral states where we have these things, the MPA, the ship owners, NIWA, the Lagos State's Waterways Agency. We will have to engage them and sensitize them to see how we can combat this. We develop an action plan. The action plan is working. I think I can have the documents for you. You can see it. Marine litter action plan. So we have our own action plan on what we intend to do and how we intend to go about it. You understand? Now, from 2021, you will see a lot of activities in terms of blue economy, and this was going to form part of our own blue economy blueprint. At the end of the day, we have a lot of industries that they can use these litters, marine litters, for recycling and reproduction for economic gain and benefits. And it's going to be a source of employment for the younger generations. All this form part of our own marine litter action plan.
Dr. Jamo also made a case for the maintenance of waterways the way we maintain our roads.
But we want to bring this into the limelight. The sea is also a means of transport, or channels of transportation. So we must make sure that we maintain the sea and we make it cleaner, because apart from the utilization of the sea in terms of navigation of our own ships and ferries, we also have a lot of resources and assets to harness in it. So it's necessary for us to make a sustainable maintenance and management of our own waterways, and also maintenance and management of our own garbage, so that it will not come back to our own seas.
In a strengthened resolve to tackle security challenges in the maritime domain, the Director General of Nimasa, Dr. Bashir Jamo, held a virtual meeting with the Interregional Coordination Center (ICC) and maritime industry stakeholders in the Gulf of Guinea. The ICC was established for the implementation of regional strategy for maritime safety and security in the Central and West African states. The meeting was aimed at finding means and ways to improve maritime security in the Gulf of Guinea, following the concern over the growing number of attacks on shipping vessels and kidnapping of seafarers, and the framework for synergy among the key actors of the maritime security in the Gulf of Guinea. The ICC expressed their delight at the positive progress that Nigeria is making towards a holistic solution to the problem through the Deep Blue project, and for its transparency in information sharing within the region. Dr. Jamo expressed in clear terms Nigeria's readiness to lead and encourage other nations in the region to emulate Nigeria's Deep Blue template for tackling maritime insecurity. noting that what was missing within the Gulf of Guinea was a framework that respective nations could plug into, assess support, and that Nigeria is offering a plug-and-play maritime security framework for the region through the deployment of the Deep Blue assets and platforms.
The Deep Blue asset includes, 3 special mission helicopters, 2 special mission aircraft, 2 special mission vessels, 17 interceptor vessels, and then we have 4 unmanned air drones, we have 16 armor tanks, and then we have a C4I center. All these assets, they are interconnected. They gather data, share the data, and then share the information among the users.
Given the ICC's mandate of cooperation and integration, Dr. Jamo stressed the focus is to align and identify areas of collaboration between what Nigeria has begun and what the ICC mandate is, to ensure alignment between national, regional, and international objectives.
We are ready to be part and parcel of ICC. We have no option. We are part and parcel of the creation of ICC. We cannot isolate ourselves and say we are going to deal with whatever issues that concern the coordination of the ICC's mandate. Definitely, we will have to be actively involved with ICC.
At the meeting, stakeholders were of the view that the Nigerian Deep Blue initiative and the ICC mandate could be combined with the support of the maritime stakeholders. Nigeria and the ICC could co-chair the proposed framework by developing the terms of reference and implementation plan for an established leadership in the fight against sea criminality. The Director General of Nimasa, Dr. Bashir Jamo, paid a courtesy visit to the interim administrator of the Presidential Amnesty Program, Colonel Miland Dixon Dikio, retired, to see how they can collaborate to curb insecurity in the Niger Delta region of the country. The DG informed them of the Nimasa maritime security assets coming on board under the Deep Blue project, with about 85% of the assets underground. The project is set to take off very soon. The DG emphasized the belief in the carrot and stick approach of the agency, which formed the basis for the willingness to collaborate with the Amnesty Program to carry out entrepreneurial training so that they can move the youths out of crime to become entrepreneurs and contributors to the economy of the region and the nation at large.
On behalf of the Governing Board of the Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency, the Executive Management, I would like to congratulate you sincerely for this well-deserved appointment, and to state that we at Nimasa, we are ready to offer our 100% support and cooperation in trying to bring the lasting solution. Continuation of our collaboration and consultation in trying to see a kind of peaceful and calm waters in terms of maritime security. The agency, we know that we can't move without the presidential amnesty's hand, because the essence of the presidential amnesty, it has to do with the collaboration with the agitators and the perceived injustice that this community in the Niger Delta seems to be hammering on over the years.
In his response, the interim administrator, Colonel Dikio, retired, admitted that he was quite happy with Dr. Jamo's visit and has been following the Director General on media as somebody he takes interest in. Colonel Dikio made it known that training the Niger Delta ex-militants to be entrepreneurs and self-sustaining rather than dependent on stipends is a cardinal part of the vision of the Presidential Amnesty Program. He urged Dr. Jamo to support the youth vocational training. Dr. Bashir Jamo further informed him that of the 2,500 people for training in the Seafarers Program, 75% of them came from the Niger Delta region and indicated interest to train more people from the region. Finally, Dr. Jamo assured the interim administrator that provision has been made in the 2021 budget of the agency for such training to take place.
Welcome back. It's still Nimasa this week, the voice of maritime, and we are introducing for the first time a very important segment, Know Your Conventions. Nimasa is a signatory to all of the various conventions of the International Maritime Organization, the IMO, which Nimasa has ratified and is currently domesticating within the country. So today, we begin our first edition with no less a person than the legal advisor to the agency, Barrister Victor Egejoro, on what the conventions stand for.
Conventions are generally international treaties or agreements between two or more countries on specific issues stipulating their rights and obligations. Under the United Nations, you have several conventions which cover several issues relating to health, sports, transport, aviation, maritime, and all other aspects of human endeavor. And under the United Nations, you also have a convention that relates specifically to the maritime sector, and that is called the International Convention on Law of the Sea, UNCLOS. And this we call the actual super convention or the ground norm with regards to maritime conventions. States become parties to conventions by acceding to the conventions first and foremost. When they accede to the conventions, they go ahead and ratify these conventions. Upon ratification, that means the conventions are binding on those states. And for states to actually implement these conventions, they need to domesticate the conventions in their local laws. They domesticate them through their national process by either adopting the entire text of the convention into existing laws or into new laws. That is the way conventions are domesticated or adopted in states. In other maritime, you have the International Maritime Organization. The International Maritime Organization is that specialized agency of the United Nations that is in charge or responsible for maritime safety, that's safety of navigation, maritime security, marine environment management, and of course facilitation of maritime traffic. All these responsibilities. Under IMO, you have so many conventions. For instance, you have the International Convention on Marine Pollution, which is referred to as MAPOL. You have International Ship Safety Management Code. You have STCW, the Standard of Training, Certification and Watchkeeping for Seafarers. You have the FAL Convention, which is International Convention on Facilitation of Maritime Transport, amongst various others. There are so many conventions when it comes to the maritime sector. So IMO is the umbrella body that does all of this. And then when you come down to the states, states are the member states, the states that have ratified, the states that have probably domesticated. These conventions are member states, especially upon ratification, you become a member state. These states, like I said earlier, domesticate these laws, these conventions into their local laws. For instance, in Nigeria, most of the provisions of the Merchant Shipping Act of 2007 come from these international conventions earlier mentioned. And implementation of these conventions become easier when they are domesticated. The conventions set a minimum standard of doing certain tasks or doing certain things in all human activities. And what it means is that for the minimum standards, all member states who are signatories to such conventions ensure that they don't go below the minimum standards set. They can go a little bit higher than the minimum standard, but definitely not below the minimum standard. The maritime administrations are basically like mini international maritime organizations. For example, in Nigeria, you have the Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency, which is usually referred to as the apex maritime industry and maritime administration in Nigeria. The responsibility of the agency includes maritime safety, marine environment management, maritime labor, maritime security, and several other ancillary responsibilities, all actually keyed towards achieving or implementing these international conventions. And some of these responsibilities are actually provided for in our relevant local laws, which includes the Merchant Shipping Act and the Nimasa Act. If you have to leave each state to come up with its own standards, there will be chaos out there, and therefore what they have achieved, the conventions have actually achieved, is what are referred to as uniformity. This uniformity, has helped in a uniform implementation of the relevant provisions of these conventions, which you now find in most national legislations.
I am Prince Adewale Adeyanju, President General of Maritime Workers Union of Nigeria, and you are watching Nimasa This Week, the voice of maritime. Stay tuned.
Welcome back. This is where we bring you the tweet from the DG, from his Twitter handle at Jamo Bashir. According to the DG, he talks about maritime safety. In his words, we have revised our hashtag maritime litter action plan at Nimasa Official and have begun reaching out to critical stakeholders to clean up our waters. Earlier today, I inspected hotspots in our marine environment from Ajegule to Lekki with our marshals. All hands on deck. As always, you can continue this conversation with the DG of Nimasa at his Twitter handle at Jamo Bashir. Likewise, using our official handles all at Nimasa Official. Additionally, you can visit our website to follow up on what the agency is working on week. Remember, the hashtag remains the voice of maritime.
Congratulations, Hadiza Bala Usman. On behalf of the board, management and staff of the Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency Nimasa, I wish to congratulate you on your recent reappointment as the Managing Director of Nigerian Port Authority by His Excellency President Muhammadu Buhari. Your reappointment for a second tenure is a testimonial of your hard work, tirelessness and giant strides during your first term. Nimasa appreciates the partnership between our agencies, and we look forward to collaborating further to take Nigeria's maritime industry to ever greater heights. Once again, congratulations. Signed, Dr. Bashir Jamal, Director General, Nimasa.
Thank you for spending your time with us on Nimasa This Week, the voice of maritime. My name remains Ubong Isien. Till I see you next time, remember the words of Rick Riordan: the sea does not like to be restrained. Bye for now.